Erik runs the Rays, and they're hot. 11 straight. He says, hello, Erik. It's a pleasure. Good to have you aboard today. And I tell you, let's ride the wave, right? 11 in a row. Go for the franchise record. You know, you got out of a bad way offensively. Clicking on all cylinders. Let's discuss that first. Take it away. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me. The ball's bouncing our way right now. This series over the weekend with Toronto, those are 4 games that were all decided late and could have gone either way. We were fortunate to be on the right side of them and have pushed the streak here to 11. But we've been throwing the ball well for a while now. A lot of players have stepped up as injuries have taken place, and the position player groups played good defense throughout most of the season, and the bats have really come alive here, especially in spots with traffic on the bases. So we'll take it and ride it as long as we can.
Erik, obviously the trend in baseball is so much sabermetrics and analytics, and there's certainly a place for that. I think one thing that your team does in particular is do a really good job of having that young talent, but also infusing that veteran leadership. And we've always heard of the phrase, you know, paralysis by analysis. What is the style of approach that you take in kind of conveying the information to your players when you have so much information to give them?
Yeah, it's more a challenge now than it's ever been, just the way that information has exploded. You know, there's been exponential growth in terms of the material you could potentially use to evaluate a player and help them develop. And really at its root, and a lot of the things in our methods are pretty simple. And it's to take, you know, some key items, some things that you believe they could focus on and process and take it into their game to increase their confidence. But, you know, we are an analytical organization in much that we do, but believe that our success that we've had here and hopefully we'll continue to have is because of our people and because our players and our staff care about coming to the park every day for themselves and for one another.
Good trade you made this week, too, Erik. I mean, you got a useful reliever who had been hot the first third of the season. They needed a shortstop. So Adames, who's been an important part of your team, we understand that, but you have shortstops in waiting. And he goes to Milwaukee. You pulled that off when they were having a lot of trouble at that position there in Wisconsin. Thoughts on that? How long did it take you to put that trade together?
Yeah, a lot of conversation over time and not an easy one to do just because Willy's been a part of so much success that we've had here and it's been a centerpiece of sorts to that success. And I said it the other day, you know, human beings aren't made any better than Willy Adames. And so that on top of the on-field impact and how we look at all that is a significant factor and made this really difficult. But I think a trade for us to strengthen our pen combined with the way that we think we'll be able to fill some of Willy's at-bats. You know, our confidence in Joey Wendell's ability to play short. Taylor Walls is up now. G-Man Choi's back. That probably push Yandy over to third. Joey Moore to short, you know, with Taylor. Walls just felt like it's something that we could absorb on the position player side and an opportunity to bring a couple more arms into our mix that we believe will help us for the foreseeable future. So I think more than any trade that we've done in recent memory, this is a major league swap just to fill needs of 2 clubs that lined up well in May.
And obviously, Erik, with the trade of Willy Adames there, that shortstop position, people are kind of clamoring to find out when you're going to be bringing up your top prospect, of course, in terms of Franco. Any thoughts on that? Any breaking news you want to give us here on High Heat about when we might be able to see him?
Yeah, we're happy for Taylor Walls to continue to fly under the radar. And I think the opinion of Taylor would be a lot differently had he not gone 600 games between, you know, minor league contests here. But Taylor's done a great job. And, you know, Wander himself, he's 20, he's faced 3 opponents in AAA, he skipped a level. We've been really encouraged by what he's done, by what Vidal Brujan's done, Josh Lowe. We have some players in AAA that are playing really well now. And, you know, it's our hope that, you know, in our belief that they're going to continue to push things and ascend and hopefully force our hand as the summer goes on.
Erik, were you a little worried here beginning of the year with a little hangover effect, losing to the Dodgers? Then, of course, Morton gone and Snell gone, and you've hung in there pretty well here with this streak. Were you a little concerned when you getting ready for spring training there in Port Charlotte, how this team would recover, get off to a good start? Now, they struggled for a while, but you've righted the ship. Are you a little worried about that beginning of spring training? Thoughts there?
Yes and no. I think, you know, these are human beings. We're all human beings. And it was an amount of disruption that I think is uncharacteristic for a team coming off of a World Series appearance. But at the same time, these guys are made right. They're competitors. And we've been fortunate to win a lot of games here, and I think they have every expectation of continuing that. And the motivation was there, but it was a shorter off season. We only played the 60-game regular season last year, but it felt like 250 just with everything that was taken on. No complaints, happy to play, but I don't think there was anything, through camp. Our guys went about their business well through the early season. That suggested a hangover, but we obviously didn't play as well as we could have in the early going, and certainly has been better late. So I don't know what's what, but the vibe's pretty good right now, and hopefully they can keep it going.
In the world of free agency, it's very rare for a player to stay with the team long term, even more rare for a front office guy to be with an organization as long as you had. I'm not certain that you were even able to shave in January of 2007 when you were an intern there in the front office. And now here you are in your 5th season in one of the top positions. What has been the biggest change that you've noticed, Erik, in this sport since you became a member of the Devil Rays and now the Tampa Bay Rays?
Oh boy, we might need more time for this one. There's been a lot more information in the game. That's for sure, and how that's processed, how that's utilized. You see, I think how information, how data has impacted pitching and optimizing pitching. I think there's a lot of benefits that can come to that. There's also a lot of challenges with how you manage it and how you implement things. But I think you're continuing to see physically players just get bigger, stronger, faster. And on the pitching side, it's more velocities, it's better secondaries. On the hitting side, it's impacting the baseball and trying to understand the trade-offs there. So we've certainly seen more strikeouts, the home runs, that approach offensively. I don't know if that's a misguided approach or if that's the best way to combat just how much the pitching is developed and been enhanced over time. So I could go on a lot of different directions, but I tend to think that it's worth some time just to appreciate just how good pitching is these days, as opposed to harping on the negatives on the hitting side right now.
I think the Rays have figured out that with their finances there in Tampa, they're better off building rotation from the back end in, instead of getting the high-priced starters, who might get hurt and only go 6 innings. You might as well build it from the back end, get lots of arms who are not going to cost you a fortune, who are interchangeable, and you get a lot of them that can fill up these games. That helps a team like Tampa trying to compete with the Yankees and the Red Sox in this division. Get enough arms in the back of that game, and maybe you get a bloop in the 8th inning and win a lot of 3-2 games. I mean, that's kind of what Tampa's done here these last few years, Erik. Been very successful. Thoughts on that for a sec? Go ahead.
Yeah, we've seen our fair share of tight games, and we've got to find a way to win them. I think we're never, I don't want to say never, but it's really difficult for us to construct a roster that's driven by the front 5 to 10 roster spots, and it's a top-heavy unit that's driven by superstars. I think our formula for success has typically been having as flat a talent slope from roster spot 1 to player 35, that's in Durham. And just making sure that there's no drop off from one player to the next. There's a little drop off as possible, but talent wins games, but depth can keep you in a lot of games as well. And ultimately depth can turn into that contributing talent that helps you win those tight games. So yeah, that's been our philosophy. You have to place a lot of trust in the players that are up next, not a whole lot of track record underneath them. We've been fortunate that we've had players step up, and we've had a staff that I think deserves all sorts of credit, the coaching staff for making that possible.
Well, you've done a heck of a job, front office. You got a good owner, and away you go. 11 in a row, near first place. Erik, thanks. Keep in touch. Appreciate you coming on here today.
All right. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it.